With baseball season fastly approaching, I thought why not make another top 5 list. Did top 5 on NBA players, best NBA players never to win a championship, best NFL players never to win a championship. So now it's time for best MLB players to never win a World Series. No championships for these players, just Hall of Fame plaques. Sometimes greatness gets you there, but it might can't get you over that hump. So we're going to get right into it. Little disclaimer for this video. Obviously, I didn't include current players because they still have a chance to win a World Series. Follow my logic? For those out there that's looking for certain players on this list, if they still playing, they cannot make this list. A major disclaimer, for age purposes sake, reference to my subscribers not being a certain age, we're going to go from players that played from 1970 on. So for the players that played in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the black and white era, because we could go way back, they're not included on this list just because a lot of people might not know. They definitely heard of these names, but they like, well, I don't have no reference point. So we're going to do that as a saving grace. So I am going to use some of those players as honorable mentions. As far as players that's playing today, there's only one on this list, and that's Mike Trout. Mike Trout, one of the best players of all time. Injury problems afloat. That's his only knock, and the fact that he don't have a World Series. But his only knock is he does tend to get injured. Me personally, I love Mike Trout, local guy. Just one of the best players to ever play. Just got to get over that injury bug, Mike. You'll be all right. So Mike Trout is an honorable mention because he's currently playing. These other 3 players played before 1970, so we can't count them on this list. But Ted Williams, what can I say about Ted Williams? Ted Williams played for the Boston Red Sox. R.I.P. to him, one of the greatest players, batters to ever, just players, overall players to ever play this game. If you never heard of Ted Williams, you're not a baseball fan, no matter how old you are. Ty Cobb, the Detroit Tiger himself. Ty Cobb, another one, didn't win a championship. Too old to make, not too old, but played too early to make my top 5 list. But Ty Cobb definitely deserves an honorable mention. And the man, Ernie Banks, Chicago Cubs, played his career out there in Chicago for the Southsiders. The Northsiders. Not the White Sox. He played for the Cubs, for the Northsiders. But Ernie Banks definitely was a great player. He did play a little bit in the 70s, but it was towards the end of his career. I think he might have played a year or two in the 70s, 70 and 71 or something like that. So he didn't make this list. But without further ado, let's get to this top 5. This top 5 list is the top 5 MLB players to never win a World Series ring ever. At number 5, we got Rod Carew. Rod Carew played most of his career out there in Minnesota for the Twins. He played a little bit for the Angels when they was called the California Angels. I got some stats for Rod. 3,053 hits. So for any player in baseball, once you crack that 3,000 hit mark, you're known as a mortal great. You just are. It's hard to get 2,000 hits, so let alone 3,000. Rod Carew was the man out there in Minnesota. He also had 18 All-Star game appearances. Come on. Listen, 7-time batting champ, and he have an MVP under his belt. So I couldn't leave Rod Carew off this list. He did play a little bit in the 60s, but both of his careers was from the 70s on. He might have retired in the early 80s or mid-80s. So Rod Carew, you number 5 on my list. Let's go to number 4. Number 4 is Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds could easily be higher on this list, but I had to add in the fact that the acquisitions of the steroid use and things of that nature. He's not even in the Hall of Fame for that very reason. But anybody that know baseball know that Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer with or without steroids. Now, he probably wouldn't have had the 762 home runs that he ended up having at the end of his career. But he would have easily hit over 500, maybe even 600 home runs without steroids. He was already a great hitter for Pittsburgh before the steroids. He went out to San Francisco, had a great early career there too, and then the steroid stuff came along in the late 90s, and the rest is history. We all know what that was. But Barry Bonds was one of the best hitters I ever seen. One of the best hitters I ever seen, and I stand on that. I dare somebody to be like, no. Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer without steroids. He wouldn't have hit almost 800 home runs, but he was already, seven-time MVP, 14-time All-Star. Barry Bonds was a great player no matter what. I had to deduct him, though. He's only fourth on this list because of that, before taking steroid use, allegedly, whatever the case may be. So Barry Bonds, number 4. Let's go to number 3. We getting down to the nitty-gritty. Number 3, I got Ken Griffey Jr. Just the name alone. Holds weight. And it stands the test of time. Ken Griffey Jr. was an icon. Home power hitter. Had that sweet swing from the left side, that upright batting stance. Made his bones in Seattle with the Mariners. Ken Griffey did his thing. We all mimicked him as kids. If you grew up in that area, if you grew up in that era, if you know, you know. We all mimicked Ken Griffey Jr. I know people kids that was right-handed that wanted to bat left-handed just because of Ken Griffey. I was always a switch hitter so I could do right or left. But my friends and I, when we was growing up, they all wanted to mimic Ken Griffey Jr., man. It was just one of those things. The nostalgia factor alone. He had his own sneakers. He had the commercials, the endorsements. Like I said, spent the bulk of his time out there in Seattle and then spent a nice amount of time in Cincinnati. He might have played for a team or two after that for like a short stint, but mainly a Mariner and a Red. But I think of him as a Mariner because that's the golden years for me. And I believe he did make the World Series. I don't know if was he part of that team that made the World Series? I forget, because it was a team in Seattle that went to the World Series, if I'm not mistaken. But that's neither here nor there. He don't have a World Series ring under his belt. So that's why he's number 3 on this list. But Ken Griffey was the man. Just to give a little stats, he had 13 All-Star game appearances, 10 gold gloves. 10 gold gloves. He was a center fielder. Man, he was out there doing his thing. 630 career home runs. That's no steroids, ladies and gentlemen. None. No steroids. He was the original bopper from that era, at least. The original bopper was Hank Aaron, but, he's not on this list because he obviously got one of those rings. But yeah, Ken Griffey Jr., number 3. All right, let's go to number 2. Number 2 is Ichiro Suzuki, the Japan sensation himself. Ichiro, also a Mariner. I believe he ended his career somewhere else. Did he play for the Marlins? I forget, but he's a Mariner. Played a bulk of his career out there in Seattle. 3,089 hits. He got an MVP under his belt. 10-time Gold Glove winner as well. A 2-time batting champ. Ichiro, if you combine his stats from Japan, he got well over 4,000 hits. Well over. He was a hitting machine. He was a prototypical leadoff hitter. He had a little pop. He could hit a home run every now and then. But he had speed, and he had hand-eye coordination like none other, and was steal bases. When I think of leadoff hitters, Ichiro, one of the first names. Obviously, Pete Rose, a couple other players come alike. But Ichiro was the man, and that's why he's at that number 2 spot, and he deserves that spot. He really does. All right, we down to it. The number 1, in my mind, best baseball player to never win a World Series ring, drum roll, Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn, R.I.P. to Tony Gwynn, played for the San Diego Padres. A hit machine. And if you looked at his physique, especially in his later years, but even throughout his career. He was always a little bulky. But he was light on his feet to carry that weight he had. He was light on his feet. Wasn't super fast like an Ichiro, nothing, but he was light on his feet. He's another one I think of prototypical leadoff hitter. The guy was a hit machine. He had, 3,100 hits? 3,141 hits. Come on. 15-time All-Star, 8-time batting champ, and he was a Gold Glover. 5-time Gold Glover. Tony Gwynn was a great baseball player. He left us a little too soon, way too soon. He has a son in the league that's playing, that's doing his thing. Not up to the standards of what his dad was, but still a pretty good player. Tony Gwynn, number 1 on this list. MLB baseball player, never win a championship. So let's get the conversation going, ladies and gentlemen. What y'all think of my list? Who would you rank higher than Gwynn? Would you reconstruct some of the order on my list? Let me know. Comment down below. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and subscribe. That's my list. We're going to bring back another one coming soon. Till then, I holla. Peace.